Hello, my dear. I'm Sophie and I'm a yoga and Pilates instructor. This video is basically a help to all my practitioners, even if you haven't done any classes with me yet. But I'm here to help all of you after giving birth to your baby to get back to moving. I receive many questions how to get back into classes, if you can join the group classes after giving birth. Some of you have this diastasis rectus, which is completely normal. Many women um, have it after the pregnancy, and no worry, you can start to move. Just some precautions before we get into the actual practice and video. First, I kindly ask all of you to go to your doctor and make sure that medically you are allowed to start to move again and do exercises again. This is very important. Second, I think it's really important to see and understand that we need to be very patient with our body after pregnancy, after giving birth. There are huge changes that going through the body when we basically bring a new life into the world. So always be patient, give yourself time, because these exercises that we're gonna do today can seem very boring, especially if you actively practiced before pregnancy or even during pregnancy. This may seem very boring at first, but believe me that if you do this for a few weeks, that is how you can give a good basement to your body to do any other exercises. If you skip this part, you may cause difficulties for yourself later on. So it's worth the first few weeks. And yes, first I would like to give you some instructions on the breathing, because that is very important, and after that I will show you some exercises. Once you get used to the exercises and you kind of learn the exercises, you don't need to like follow this video. You can just make some notes for yourself and quickly do 10 minutes each day, or 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. So this is not going to be a long session, a long practice. The video may be a little longer because I'm going to try to explain everything as much as I can, but the practice itself doesn't have to be longer than like 10 minutes daily. If you can do it more, of course, that's even better. But if you just do it every day, it's going to help a lot. So we're gonna start from a lay down position. So just roll all the way down on your mat. Try to find a neutral position for your hip area, for your lower back. The neutral position is easy to find when you don't feel any tension in your lower back. So you don't need to push it down on purpose, but also be aware not to overcompensate this natural curve in the lower back. So really just try to move a little bit, and try to feel in a position where there is no tension in your lower back area. You can let the gravity help you with this, because if you get relaxed, you will naturally feel how the gravity is pulling down the lower back a little bit, but you don't need to overcompensate or over push. You need to place the feet approximately in hip distance, and well, kind of close to the hip. If you can touch your heels with the fingers, that's actually perfect. You will just rest the arms next to the torso. I will sometimes lift my arms up just to make you see my movements or what is happening, but you don't need to do that. But first, when we do the breathing, you can actually place the hands to the lower ribs. And the breathing that we can practice when we do these exercises is the Pilates breathing, the lateral breathing that we know from Pilates. So when you inhale through your nose, imagine either a balloon in your chest, or you can imagine that there is an umbrella in your chest. Just feel how you expand the lower parts of your chest into your hands. So always focus on the lower ribs, and as you inhale, just feel how these lower ribs getting pushed into your hands. Then when you start to exhale, these lower ribs has to go back to their natural place into your torso, basically, and you gently press the air out from these lower parts first, and you just gently exhale through the mouth. When you do the exhales, we try to do a gentle core activation, which means that you can imagine having a zip within your lower body, lower ab, and imagine pulling this zip up. So it's never a push. It's never a push when you exhale. It's always a pull. They also say this little visualization that imagine a little seed that you want to pull up. So this is always, the exhale is always a pulling, never a push, and this pulling effect will help you to activate the core muscles. It's important that the core muscle is not only the abs, it's the muscles in the abs, it's the muscles in the backs, it's the diaphragm, and there's also the pelvic floor muscles. So it's not only the abs, but if you can imagine this zip effect, then you will most probably activate the core muscles. And this is when you exhale gently. You don't need to put all your power into the breathing. It doesn't have to be like that, especially if there is no movement, only the breathing. So like try to activate these muscles around 30%. So once again, inhale through the nose, expand the chest into your hands. And then when you exhale, just imagine this inner zip. And you gently exhale through the mouth. Let's do a few rounds from this. You can keep going, and our first movement or exercise, what we're going to start to do is going to be some pelvic tilt, which we're going to do for the exhale. So when you inhale, you just do the same thing, expand your chest into your hands, and when you exhale, you will gently push the lower back down towards your mat. This is going to be the pelvic tilt. And when you inhale, you just try to find your way back into the neutral position. So exhale, start to push the lower back, do the pelvic tilt. You can gently push the feet into the mat as well. You may see that this little space under my lower back disappears. And when you inhale, you just gently let the hip go back to its neutral position, and you're gonna have some, but not much. You don't need to overcompensate here either. Just try to find your neutral position. So exhale, pelvic tilt, push the lower back down, and inhale, just release and come back to the neutral position. You can just rest your arms next to the torso. I just try to, maybe I lift it up a little bit more so you can see my lower back. So we just gently inhale through the nose. And for the exhale, don't forget the zip effect. Do the pelvic tilt, tuck the hip, push the lower back down. This will automatically activate the core muscles. And when you inhale, you just release and go back. You can repeat this exercise 8-10 times at least. But once you are familiar with the exercise, of course, you can do more repetition. The next movement that we can connect to this is going to be a simple heel push to the front. So when you do the pelvic tilt and you exhale, you're going to straighten one leg, but you still focus on pushing the lower back down. And when you inhale, you just pull the heel back and come back to the neutral position. So exhale. Do all the things that we did until now. The inner zip, pushing the lower back down, straightening one leg. And when you inhale, you gently pull it back and come back to the neutral position. Our breathing and our movements are always slow and continuous. It's never, no, try not to breathe like this. Just gently inhale through the nose. Try to do a long inhale. And when you exhale, you do the pelvic tilt. You don't forget about the inner zip and you straighten one heel to the front. When you inhale, you just pull the leg back, let the hip go back to its neutral position. You can always take a rest after each movement if you want, and you can repeat this exercise 8-10 times as well with each leg. We're gonna go to the other leg soon. Let's do 3 more to this side. Let's do 2 more. And one last exhale. Don't forget the pulling effect, because if you start to push, then maybe your abs will come out from your belly, and that is not a good sign. That means that you are pushing instead of pulling. I mean, it's a little paradox, because as you pull this inner zip, that's how you push the air out. So it's a pushing for the air, but it's not a pushing for your muscles. I hope you understand, but even if it's strange at first, you're gonna get used to it. You can start to do it on the other side. For the exhale, we push the heel to the front, push the lower back into the mat. For the inhale, you pull it back. For the exhale, we push. For the inhale, you pull the heel back. For the exhale, you push. For the inhale, you pull. And find a neutral position with your lower back. Push for the exhale. And pull it in for the inhale. Let's do 4 more to this side as well. We have the last 3. Exhale. Pull the zip, push the heel to the front, push the lower back down. Inhale, pull it back. We have 2 more. Exhale, push. Inhale, pull. And one last for the exhale, push. For the inhale, pull. Our next exercise will still stay in this starting position, but we're gonna lift one leg up. Lifting this leg up will help us to push the lower back down, because actually only to pull this leg up and hold it, it requires a certain activation from the core muscles. So this is already an activation, but what we're gonna do is try to keep this activation when we lower the leg. So when we do the exhale, we're gonna bring the leg down, but keep pushing the lower back down towards the mat. When we inhale, we're gonna lift the knee up and let our lower back into this neutral position. So exhale, lower the leg, but keep pushing the lower back into the mat. For the inhale, you lift the leg up, release, and go back to the neutral position. You can keep going. When you move the leg, it's important that our starting position is with knee above the hip. If you feel that your core is struggling with holding the knee here, then maybe you can pull the knee a little bit closer, but not completely here. So it's not a movement like this, because this won't work. This movement won't make your abs work. If you do this, this will do, you can feel the difference. You can actually try the other version, so you're gonna feel the difference. For the exhale, you lower the leg, the heel towards the mat. For the inhale, you lift it back up. For the exhale, you lower, activate the muscles. For the inhale, release and lift it back. You can do 8-10 repetitions here also on both sides. Don't do it with 2 legs in the first few weeks, for sure not. You can do the other side. So exhale, lower, keep pushing the lower back down. For the inhale, lift it back up. For the exhale, lower. For the inhale, lift it back up. You can keep going with the exercise. A few things that you should avoid at the very beginning of your practice is the crunches, the full sit-ups, and the planks. So once you did the 8-10 repetitions from this leg lowering as well, we're gonna change position, and we're gonna try to do the pelvic tilts and some movements also in another position. So if you're finished, you can just come into a tabletop position. Actually here the gravity is working against us, but this is a good chance for us to practice the neutral position and the pelvic tilt. Whenever you start in this starting position, the tabletop, you need to place the hands under the shoulders and the knees under the hips. So the first thing that we're gonna do is the same pelvic tilt that we did in the first starting position. For the exhale, you're gonna tuck the hip, and for the inhale, you will just relax and go back to the neutral position. Exhale, tuck the hip, pull the belly button in a little bit, activate the core muscles. Inhale, release. Exhale, pelvic tilt. Inhale, come back to the neutral position. Whenever we start some exercises in the tabletop, it's always important that we don't fall into the tabletop like this. So you always need to work a little bit against the gravity to have some hold in your position even when you start. But also you don't need to overcompensate, you don't need to round the back, just try to find this neutral position. And for the exhale, you only tuck the hip. For the inhale, release. Let's do 2 more. You can do 8-10 repetitions from everything. Tuck the hip. Inhale, release. Exhale, tuck the hip. Inhale, release. Exhale, tuck the hip. Inhale, release. Once you feel comfortable with this, one thing that you can add is lifting one limb up. First, really just one, and after a while, you can do arm and leg together. So I will show you with my left arm now. For the exhale, as you tuck the hip, you can lift one arm away from the mat. And for the inhale, you can just place it back and go back to the neutral position. Exhale, you can lift the other arm up. And for the inhale, you can release. Exhale, tuck the hip, lift one arm up. Here, your body will start to work against rotation because in the neutral, you can keep going with the exercise. In the tabletop position, we have 4 points where we connect to the mat, where we basically hold our stability. But when you lift one limb away, that means that you take one from the support out. So your body will have to start to work against the gravity, against the rotation that the gravity would result. You can do A10 to each side from this as well. And when you feel comfortable with it, you can start to lift the opposite arm and leg together. And for the inhale, you're gonna bring it back. If you want, you can just slide it on the mat without actually lifting. And for the inhale, you can pull it back. So always try to find that amount of movement where you can still pay attention to activating your muscles for the exhale. It's also very important that we don't do this movement from the lower back. We don't work like this. You don't even have to have an arching in your back when you do this exercise. Especially because when you move the arm and the leg, you want to tuck the hip, so you work against the arching. This is how your core is active. Here, your core is not active. So it's very important for the exhale. You can lengthen the arm and the leg, still having an active core. For the inhale, you pull it back. Exhale. So you can really choose from the tabletop. First, make sure that you do some pelvic tilts. After that, if you want to go further, you can do only arm lifts. And if you feel completely comfortable, you can do both arm and leg, but opposite sides. Let's get into the last exercise because I'm afraid the video is starting to get too long. And this is really more for explaining than to actually do. So try to practice these exercises. And once you already feel how to do it and know the exercises, just do 8-10 repetitions from everything and have your own practice. So for our last exercise, we're gonna be on our side in a side laying position. Actually, if you have a Pilates ball at home, what you can do is to place the ball here. If you have a connection with the ball, that's okay. But once you start to let yourself fall into this starting position, you look at here. I wouldn't be able to place a ball here. So once you start to push the ball together, you will know that you don't have the right amount of hold in this lower part. But for the position, for the starting position, you don't need to push You just need to find the neutral position where you are not falling into your shoulder, but your elbow is under the shoulder and you have a kind of hold. For after, we're going to take an inhale, expanding the chest. For the exhale, together with the pull, you're going to push a little bit towards the sky, the left side of the body. This happens naturally if you activate the right side. So take an inhale. If you want, with this exhale, you can gently lift the hip away. But if you are not comfortable with doing the lift, you can keep going with the exercise. If you're not comfortable with doing the lift, then you don't need to do the actual hip lift. Just focus on the activation in your right side. You need to do 8 repetitions to both sides. So once you finish to one side, you just come to the other side. The knees are bent in a comfortable way that it supports you. So like try to, you can bring the knees a little bit more to the front, not in a straight line. Once you feel more strength in your body, then you will be able to have more like a straight line here. But I think at the beginning you can pull the knees a little more inward. This will give more support. You place the elbow under the shoulder. You're gonna make some push with the forearm. So take an inhale. For the exhale, you can lift the hip up. For the inhale, you place it back. If you don't feel enough strength for the lift, it's okay. Then you just activate the side. For the inhale, relax. Exhale, activation. Inhale, relax. And this is our last exercise from the video. So actually what we had, we started from a lay down position with legs pull up. Here you do pelvic tilts, here you do heel pushes, and here you do from one leg up position, you do touches on the mat. This is 3 exercises. Then you go to tabletop, you're gonna do the same pelvic tilt. You can add arm lifts or arm and leg lifts together. And last but not least, you come to your side and you do hip lifts on the side if you want to lift. If you don't want to lift, it's okay to just do the activation first, and when you feel enough strength to lift the hip up, then you can go further. These are the exercises that you can actually practice every day. If you have time, you can do it in the morning and in the night. If you don't need to follow the instructions, you don't need to follow the video itself because you already know the exercises, this will not be more than 10 minutes. Now it's just this long because I try to explain everything that I could. So once you finish the practice, you can actually just come into a comfortable sitting position. You can give thanks to your body for handling all the changes, for getting back to work. You can really just breathe for a few minutes, feel some gratitude towards yourself. And when you want to finish the practice, maybe just take a big inhale, place the hands together, and with the exhale, just fold forward and really give thanks to yourself for taking your time, being patient, and to really going through all this process. I really hope that this video will be very useful for many of you. If you have any questions, you can always contact me here in the comments or on Instagram or in private message. Just don't worry about it. I always answer to any questions. Thank you for being here and have a beautiful day. Bye.